Welcome back to the Scoop College Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Hoop Scoop Media. I'm Austin Getchie, joined by Luke Hansen today, and we finally are getting to our off-season losers podcast. If you're a fan of one of these teams, you might not like what we have to say here, but not a huge fan of what these 10 teams did this off-season. It's been a minute since we did our winners podcast, but now I think we're both situated into our places at college and hopefully getting ready to string out some consistent content.
Yeah, I'm ready to be consistent. I mean, the closer the season gets, the more excited, the more driven I am to get stuff out. So hopefully we get some previews going on.
Yeah, what are we like 65 days away? We are
Roughly so.
67 days away from uh, the start of the college basketball season, but yeah, want to get right into it with the losers. I'll let you go first. We each picked out 10 and I'm assuming we'll probably match on a lot of these, but yeah, can get us
Yeah.
started.
I have them in order. I guess the order can fluctuate pretty heavily, but number one, I went with Kansas. Just kind of an underwhelming portal class. The guys they brought in, Jaden Dawson, Trey White, and Melvin Council, not something you would expect from Kansas. And there's a lot of known swings and misses with some of the top guys. Darian Williams was kind of down between NC State and Kansas, or so was reported. Ended up at NC State.
Yes.
And then obviously prayers to Bill Self. He seems to be doing better, but also his health question marks, I think, can somewhat weigh into this as you don't really know how long your legendary head coach is still going to be on the sidelines for.
Yes, I also included Kansas as one of my losers. Kansas fans will probably not like that, but I mean, I'm not a huge fan of this team. I mean, and I'm fully in on Darren Peterson being like an All-American, potentially the best freshman in college of basketball, at very least one in the top three easily. And like, yeah, I think he's going to be very good, but I'm not really seeing a whole lot else in this team that I like. I know a lot of people are really hyping up Flory Badunga for his sophomore year. I'm not sure that he's really there offensively and really going to be much more in just like a energy center, which he's very good at, but I mean, and like their transfer class, like guys like Jaden Dawson, Trey White, Melvin Council are like solid players, but when those are like competing to be your like second option, third option, like starting players, that's where I don't like it so much. Marco Jackson, I've heard some positive reports, but like he was injured for a whole year, and the last time he played, he wasn't very good. There's just too many question marks. This is still going to be a good team, uh, in the grand scheme of things, but I think this is going to be more like the past few years of Kansas basketball, where they're like maybe like a fringe top 25 team when really the expectations of that program should be to be like a contender to win it all, top 10 yearly, I think.
Yeah, and I think you put it well right there. Like the expectations should be higher, and this year they're probably flirting with about 20th as a preseason rank, whereas the past two seasons they were preseason number one. Obviously, they didn't live up to that, but I think even another season just like the last two, or even slightly better than the last two, is still just not what Kansas basketball is used to. Going back to the national championship in 2022, and then obviously the 10 plus years before that as well.
Yes, I will move to one of my teams. I also had Kansas, but one that I really think is a big loser to offseason is Villanova. And honestly, like I'm a fan of the Willard hire. I'm not upset with that at all. And a lot of people didn't like how it went down. Like I really don't care about that. I just do not like what was assembled in year one of the Willard era. Villanova is clearly a program that has money, and as big as the coaching upgrade was from Kyle Neptune, someone who had proven to not be able to coach very well for to Willard, like at least Neptune was able to bring in like consistent talent. And I think Willard probably will, but like I don't know what was going on this year. Like it's hard to like, is there like really high major players in this roster? Like You got like Devin Askew, like maybe starting at the point guard. Um, there's just there's just not much here, honestly. Like Bryce Lindsey, like Duke Brennan, like I don't know.
Yeah, a very underwhelming class, especially when you do consider you have Willard coming in and a program like Villanova, you would hope is putting all the money together from these boosters, giving their first year head coach a stacked roster to compete with, and it just really doesn't seem like that happened. I kept him off my list just because I think the coaching upgrade is a big enough deal, but I can definitely see why you would call this team a loser, and they probably will preseason expectation wise have lower expectations this year than each of the last 2 years under Neptune when they had an overload of talent, really. Wooga Poplar, Eric Dixon, other guys like that. I mean,
Mhm.
you take those names compared to this year's names, and the same coach would have much better luck with last year's roster.
Yes, very very underwhelming roster. But do you want to get into another one of your losers?
Yeah, I'll keep going down my list. Next, I went with Michigan State. Lost a ton to the NBA and to the portal. Jace Richardson gone, Jaden Akins, Trey Holloman, et cetera, et cetera. And then losing Caleb Glenn to injury, he was going to be one of their top two gets in the portal, and now he is likely out for the year. The team really just lost all the depth they had last year, and I think that's what really made them special last year. Obviously, Jace Richardson taking a jump too, but when you don't have that depth to kind of grind teams out, I don't know if you have the same success this year. So I'm a bit lower on them. And then I mean, last year we saw Jace take the jump, and I don't really know if there is anyone on this roster I would back to do that and become the guy for the Spartans offensively.
Yes, I also had Michigan State as one of my losers. And again, it's hard to put some knocks on elite coaches like Tom Izzo, one of the best college coaches ever, but it's not great. I mean, I do think we were in kind of a similar position last year with Michigan State, and it worked out pretty well. But I'll have to see it again because I there's not a ton here that I like. Trey Fort's a big wild card to me. I feel like the Buckyball transfers haven't exactly panned out great, and considering Fort was a pretty much non-factor to high major level just a year before, I do like the returners. Like I think Jackson Kohler is probably going to be pretty good. Jeremy Fears is pretty good, but like at what point like is there just not enough here? Their bench is completely unproven guys or guys that just haven't produced in the past. They don't have like elite freshman recruits. I guess we'll see if like Cam Ward, Jordan Scott are able to do much. I mean, Glenn being out that does um, provide a major blow for them, which is nothing to do with Michigan State's fault. But yeah, there's not much here, not much depth. We'll see if there's any high end talent once the games get going, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
it's hard to like this team
you take a look at the 5 seasons prior to last, or 4 seasons, I guess. 2 7 seeds, a 9 seed, and an 11 seed, and only one Sweet 16 in there. It feels like this year's team is probably in that 7 to 11 seed range, can maybe win a game, but yeah, I just don't see the high end upside in the team once again this year. And I probably said the same thing last year, and they proved me wrong. But I'd still consider Michigan State a loser this offseason.
for sure. Um, I will move into my next one. This one might be a little more controversial, but I am going with Alabama as one of my off-season losers. Again, a team I think will be relatively decent. Maybe I shouldn't be betting against Nate Oates like this, but I don't know. Like I'm looking at his roster and I'm really not overly impressed. Especially with the transfers they brought in. I do like to swing on Jaleel Bethea, but he was very disappointing as a freshman. Um, Not a big Noah Williamson guy when it relates to him translating up to the SEC. Not a big Taylor Bowen guy, and yeah, I mean. I think it'll still be a good team. LeBaron Filan back, Aiden Holloway back, two pretty solid players. We'll see how they do when they have a lot more attention on them with Mark Sears gone, Chris Youngblood gone. I think Aiden Sherrill could be a guy that really takes a big jump, but overall, I love what Oates has done, but not a huge fan of how this roster was constructed.
Yeah, I mean, Alabama's probably not the first place I'd go for an off-season losers list, but I definitely see where you're coming from, especially after the past few seasons where they've been elite, and now this year it's going to take big jumps probably from both of Philon and Holloway to make anything happen. As Sears wasn't really replaced, it's more of trying to get his numbers from a committee. And then, I mean, yeah, you talked about the pieces inside as well, the question marks of Bull Bowen and then Noah Williamson. Is that really SEC ready right now? I mean, we'll have to wait and see. I still think it's a pretty good team. I wouldn't I didn't think about them at all really for my top 10 losers, but I see where you're coming from.
Yes, Latrell Wright's back there too. Questioned on him with the Achilles tear. I think he's a pretty good player, but yeah, just a lot more questions than feel like there should be with the team that has been this successful the past few years.
I mean, speaking of question marks, I'll dive into my next team, and that's Memphis, which seems to be just a floating question mark right now. I mean, so many different things happened to this team this offseason. I mean, just a minor one, Nolan Smith leaving late in the coaching cycle, like
Is that
you
a
losing
bad
this.
thing?
I mean, I don't know. It's also what happened last year. Like they just haven't really been able to keep coaches
Yeah.
around, which is kind of red flag to me. Obviously, Sincere Parker getting arrested. We'll see what happens there. Dane Danger didn't get his waiver for another year. Not Memphis's fault really there, but also just not a piece I feel like they really were ready to replace looking at the roster. And then obviously PJ Haggerty, All American last year, left for Kansas State, and everyone else on last year's roster is pretty much gone as well. So,
Yes, not great. They just added a rope who's a 6'11", 180-pound big man who scored 1 point in the Ivy League, and that's kind of where they're at in the big man department. Memphis was also one of my losers. Yeah, especially when you look at the bigs on this team, it's kind of relying on Aaron Bradshaw, who's never been a reliable guy himself, to play a ton of minutes per game and be pretty good. So
and
yeah,
have his head on straight either as well. So,
yes, not liking that. Definitely a few questionable characters on this team. I believe Hassan Abdul Hakim got kicked off of the team at UTRGV this year. Doug McDaniels obviously had his fair share of off the court issues, although I think he could be a pretty good player, admittedly, this season. Sincere Parker, you talked about how he got arrested this off season. Yeah, we'll see. Definitely a lot of interesting pieces. Not sure that this is really this. I mean, this is a pretty big drop off, I think, from the Memphis teams of the past few years that have clearly had some pretty high level talent. There are definitely some intriguing pieces on this team. Like Curtis Givens has potential. He wasn't very good last year. Um, but yeah, not a fan of this team. Still needed to decide if I want to put them first in the American way. We'll see. I'm still pondering over that, but yes, looks a little bit weaker than the past team for your teams that
yeah,
we've
I mean
seen.
that's the thing. Worst case scenario, this team's still competing for
Yeah,
a tournament bid in March.
but
So,
Memphis is just like so much higher program than all these other teams, so I feel like that should be like the bare minimum, honestly.
yeah, I mean, and then I guess I could also throw in the fact that they offered to pay the Big 12 a truckload of money and got
Yeah, and
declined into the
and
conference.
that's
So
not
you
helping
can
their
maybe
case.
maybe throw that into the offseason loser pile as well.
Yes. Moving on, though those five teams that we've discussed have been my like strongest offseason losers, I'd say. Now we're kind of into the point of like these teams just don't have money, but still not a big fan of what some of these teams did with the money potentially. Moving to the Big Ten, I have Rutgers. Um, Again, it's hard to knock too much on these teams when seemingly like they just didn't have the resources, especially with Rutgers. They probably poured quite a bit of resource into getting Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey last year, which didn't maybe worked out, maybe it didn't, depending on how you look at it. I mean, it worked out for both of them, but definitely did not work out how the team from that aspect. But yeah, just not much on this team, really. I mean, yeah, there's just not really anything for me to be excited about on this roster. Um,
Yeah, I included Rutgers as well. Just a totally bleak roster, and then obviously a massive drop off talent
yeah.
wise with Harper and Bailey both going to the NBA. I mean, maybe that means Steve Peichel can kind of get back to his bread and butter with these
I think
grinded
this
out
team will
defensive
like
teams.
overachieve a little bit just because like yeah, like you mentioned, like it's Peichel can definitely grind some solid results out when he has a little bit less, but this team is not going to be very good. I mean, they did like who is there to be excited about?
Yeah, and I mean, you throw this into a super stacked Big Ten conference, and it just,
Like maybe like Dylan Grant breaks out or something. Like
I mean,
you
there's
know,
like, yeah, I still look at the roster. I see like best case 4 wins in the Big Ten.
yeah, probably.
On to my next one, I guess.
Yep.
I'll go to the ACC. I had Syracuse. Um, Red Autry still around. They've got pretty heavily reliance on younger players. Quite a few freshmen that should feature off the bench. A couple of sophomores. Tyler Betsy coming in from Cincy, and then Donnie Freeman back. And I don't know where their development is really going to be because I'm not too confident in that coaching staff. The talent's somewhat there. Like JJ Starling, Nate George is a fun backcourt, maybe offensively, but I just don't think it's a team that can really string together wins with any consistency this season.
Yeah, I
And
mean
it's a
that's
sad drop
definitely
off
an
for a Syracuse program
yes,
that was.
that's definitely an interesting topic of conversation because I mean I don't know, I would almost consider Syracuse more of a winner just because the player acquisition, all that stuff, but on the other side, like I might consider them a loser just because Adrian Autry is still their head coach. I think that we've seen enough. I'd be kind of surprised if he last makes it to a fourth season, but like nah, I think this team is decently talented. Like I would probably put him in a tournament under a different coach. Maybe. They would at least be in strong consideration. Donnie Freeman definitely has a lot of potential. But at the end of the day, I don't think they're gonna be going anywhere with their coaching staff. So yeah, that's probably a team that I don't know. You say should have made a move because it's only been 2 years, but I feel like the writing's on the wall. It's just been very underwhelming. Doesn't really seem like a corner's going to be turned, even though they have some intriguing pieces. But yes, not banking on anything crazy to happen in Syracuse this year until they get a new coach. But yeah, I'm gonna move uh to the Big East to Seton Hall. Another New Jersey school. Not a great year for the New Jersey schools. This is another roster that like yeah they are well documented to have like no money, but like outside of Bud Clark, who I really think is fun, have some questions about his translation to high major level. I mean, I'm super excited to watch him in the Big East this year, but like outside of that, like what are we going for? Like I don't know. I guess I don't know like how bad NIL really is, but I feel like there are a decent amount of like rosters that like maybe I'd like at a mid-major level, like Mountain West schools that are I'd probably take over this. Like I just don't think there's a good amount. Like I don't think there's hardly any quality players on this roster.
Yeah, I mean, you go to the bench, you have Mike Williams, Trey Parker, guys that like featured a little at the power conference level. Those are two guys who it's like maybe they can take a step up here at Seton Hall with a bit bigger of a role. But yeah, I don't really see all that much upside. Like you mentioned, Bud Clark's a pretty fun player, but TJ Simpkins kind of an
Mm,
inefficient scorer. Addiston McRae didn't really do
yeah.
anything
I
when
mean,
he
Miami
jumped
was
up to the power
bad.
conference level last year. I mean, you can put partial blame on him there for Miami. Elijah Fisher is a guy I somewhat like. Had a good
I
year at
mean,
Pacific last season, but it's like it's nothing that
he's
it's like
like he's a good athlete, but
a star of a team
yeah,
is
he's
where is where it kind of looks here.
been on some pretty bad teams as of lately. Um, yeah, he's been at DePaul and Pacific last year, so not really in on that.
Yeah, I didn't include Seton Hall in my losers just because I kind of gave them the benefit of the doubt that they don't seem to have any money, but I 100% don't blame you for including them at all.
Yeah, it's looking pretty bleak. We'll see what Sheen Holloway can do. I mean, I probably was a little bit higher on him as a coach like a few years ago, especially before last year. But I mean, we've definitely seen kind of the Pikel thing, him being able to just grind out some teams. He's had some very successful defenses, so we'll see if this team can really lean into just playing hard. Feel like they have um, some solid athletes at the very least. So we'll see what they can do. But I think it's not going to be very good.
Yeah, I've got another roster where it's like I look at it and there just must not be much money there. I mean, the transfer class that Pitt brought in totally underwhelming to me. Deshaun Jackson, solid big at Iowa State last year. Barry Dunning was a pretty good player in the Sun Belt. And then you have DeMarco Minor, who's just like a serviceable point guard at Oregon State. Notice Indricitis barely played at Iowa State. And all four of those guys are probably inserted into your starting lineup or at least in your top six guys. And that's after losing a healthy amount of your rotation. Jalen Lowe, Ishmael Leggett, and then Damian Dunn, Zach Austin, other guys like that played a key role for the Pitt team. And they completely fell off the cliff last year in December, January. And now I just kind of lost my confidence in Jeff Capel. And it doesn't really feel like there's a roster that can reinvigorate that spark for me. I think it might be the the start of the decline for Pitt and Capel.
Yes, I would agree on that. I feel like people generally thought Capel wasn't very good, and there was like a few years where like they were kind of winning, and I think people are kind of shifting back. I did not have them. I probably should have had them on my losers over maybe some teams that just did like nothing because yeah, I mean I don't think their transfer additions were bad, but like yeah, again you look at it, there's clearly a lack of talent on the roster. Yeah, not yeah, like who's gonna be like the go-to guy? Don't really see anyone like that. Their bench is questionable. We'll see what they can get out of some of these freshmen, international guys. Not a huge Roman Sulipa guy. Definitely he's intriguing, but not super sold on him to contribute to a winning high major program. Yeah, like Barry Dunning like flamed out at his first two levels before he kept moving down and was admittedly pretty good, but not super in on him to be like a highly impactful high major player. Deshaun Jackson's fine. But yeah, there's just yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Pitt this year. We'll see. We'll see what happens to Capel. See if he maybe will not be returning after another bad year.
Yeah, I'm not sure how Pitt fans see it. Like obviously
Yeah.
he's came a far away from those first four seasons, but I wonder if another
Yes.
disappointing year.
Seems to be
I
trending back
yeah,
down.
I don't think he would get fired, depending how far the floor drops out here. But I would think it would probably just be a relatively hot seat going into next year if Pitt ends up how I think they will, which is rather disappointing in the ACC.
Yes. Moving to another team. Again, this is just another team that doesn't have money, evidently. That's Colorado. Just not, I mean, they just don't have much, period. I can kind of talk myself into some of these guys, but I mean, they only got one legit transfer in Barrington Hargress, who I think is very good, but they were not a very good team last year, and they didn't really add much. I mean, they didn't add anything else of note. Just a bunch of freshmen who are not extremely highly ranked. They don't have a top 150 guy. Not that that is the end all be all, but not a great sign when you lose a lot and don't bring in more than one guy.
Yeah, I didn't include Colorado in mine, but I see where you're coming from for sure. No real impact guys brought in outside of Barrington Hargis, who I'm a big fan of. I
Hmm.
think very highly of. Had a great year at UC Riverside last year, but yeah, there isn't what this Colorado team had a couple years ago talent wise. I mean, they had was it 3 NBA players 2 years ago? KJ Simpson, Tristan Da Silva, and then
Yes.
Cody
And
Williams,
hmm and yeah, it's
which just an insane team to think about. Also had Javon Hadley, who's going to start at Louisville for a second straight year, and they
yeah.
should be
Like Eddie Lampkin was
one of the
pretty
best
good
teams.
too.
Yeah,
But yeah, you just look at his team like
and I
not
mean,
much.
even last year with a roster similar to this, like they weren't awful like metrics wise. Like they still were 87th at Ken Palm, even though they barely won any games. Like I don't think this is a huge drop off from last year in my eyes. I think they might be able to get out of last place in the Big 12, but it's still just yeah,
Yeah.
not what Colorado fans are hoping for after a handful of good years, um, including 2024 and then a couple of years like the COVID season when they reached the
Hmm.
tournament with McKinley Wright.
Yes. Let's see. Do you have more losers?
Yeah, I mean, I'll stay in the state. I'll go over to Colorado State, which this is one. It's I see the face you make like
I don't know if
a
I'd
little.
agree. I don't think they're like some huge winner, but
I mean,
I think they have a solid transfer class. I think they made a solid head coaching hire.
yeah, I think that's part of where it stems from. Though you lose a guy like Nico Medved who had a great run last year, and then a couple of his top players, Nate Clifford, Kyan Evans, gone, along with a couple others. I mean, they should still be competitive in the conference, but this was a team that was a missed buzzer beater away from reaching the Sweet 16, and now it's a team that I think might get stuck in the middle of the Mountain West with Grand Canyon coming in. UNLV looks revitalized, and then Boise State, San Diego State kind of look a leg up on the rest.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll be a little bit worse than last year, but I don't know if I can get with putting them in the losers category. I think they brought in some decently intriguing talent. Most of their transfers are multi-year guys too, which I like. So yeah, I like this team generally. I do think they'll probably drop back. Probably definitely see a lot of stronger teams in the conference, and them probably won't be in contention to make the tournament. But yeah, I mean, if you picked a team from the Mountain West, like one of the top teams, it's probably who I would go with. But yeah, I don't know that I'd go as far as calling them a loser. But I mean, how much worse is this team than Seton Hall? Like, is this like a worse roster?
The Colorado State team, I mean, it's probably better than Seton Hall in all honesty.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll probably finish pretty similarly in Ken Palmer, Bart Torvik.
Yes, depends. It's definitely easier for like high major teams for like the Florida to fall off too. So I would probably bet on Colorado State finishing higher, but
Yeah,
we will see. Next up, just another high major team. I mostly try to stay with high major teams for my losers because like at some point, like you just like can't keep your players in the mid-major level.
Yeah, Colorado State was my only non-power conference team. So
Yes. It's hard to knock some of these teams too much when um if like their guys are good to just leave. And honestly, yeah, like I don't remember seeing like a ton of like teams I thought were like straight out losers that were like good teams because yeah, I'm trying to pick from teams that should have the expectations to begin with to some extent. But anyway, back to Penn State, back to the Big Ten. Another very bleak roster, especially when you consider the big man situation, which is quite brutal. I guess your starting big man is Sasa Siani, who did not have good on-off splits in the Missouri Valley on a back half of the conference team at UIC. Josh Reed is your other like forward um, that has played college basketball, who was just like a okay player at Cincinnati, not too good. Probably not a starting caliber high major player. Definitely some intrigue with the backcourt. Caden Mingo, Melatunka, the Turkish freshman, and Freddie De Leone. Um, intriguing backcourt trio, but I think it's a lot more intriguing actually like it's elite, especially with Mingo and Tunka being freshmen. So, yeah, just not a lot. And yeah, maybe they don't have the best money, but this is this is a pretty weak roster. Even if you consider that they don't have money. I am very intrigued to see their game at New Haven this year. I think they should still win that pretty easily, but as a little fun note we're going to add in there.
yeah, definitely don't see that all the time. I think it's New Haven's D1 home opener, I believe, or maybe
Yes,
their
because
second
I'm
game.
pretty sure they play like well, no, I think they play like Columbia the day before. I
Gotcha.
don't know like why I knew it off the top of my head, but I'm like pretty sure that's true.
But yeah, I didn't include Penn State in my losers just because I think relatively the expectations are always somewhat low. But as you mentioned, the transfer gets very underwhelming, and then you just kind of got to wait and see with Tunka and Mingo in the backcourt. DeLeon probably needs to make a massive jump for this team to not finish
Yes.
last in the Big Ten, and probably a
Yes.
pretty healthy last, maybe outside of Rutgers.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what like Eli Rice can do coming off injury, but he didn't play that much at Nebraska as a freshman. They got some other international guys, Tabor Murtic, Ivan Juric, some other lowly ranked freshmen. Mason Blackwood's decently ranked, but yeah, not a ton to be super excited about here.
All right, I've got three teams left.
All right, I just got one more, I
Okay.
believe. So yeah, you can go ahead
All
with
right.
a few years.
All right, sounds good. I went with Arizona State
Yeah, that's my
next.
last one.
Okay, well, sorry about that. Um, yeah, a mid-major all-star portal class, maybe not even a mid-major all-star level team,
I
but
mean,
like,
I think Bobby Hurley knows that time is running out, and I don't know what he was doing, but he was just. I mean, it seems like they're still adding guys like every week. They just like keep finding these international guys, and guys are just leaving the team and
yeah,
coming
I
to
mean,
the team.
I'll let you kind of just take this one away, this it being your last one, but I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean,
I just there's not a single proven high major player on the roster.
yeah, I would agree. I mean, I kind of like some of the guys they have, but again, you can tell that Bobby Hurley like it's probably going to be his last year, and he could just start randomly taking guys. Like, I think that's what
Yeah,
happened.
I mean, like Mo Odom, he's a fun
I mean,
watch.
I love Mo Odom, but
Yeah, but I just don't see what happens otherwise. I mean, Marcus Adams Jr., talented player. He was a BYU player at one
I
time. I
mean,
think
he was
he
everywhere
was
at one time.
everywhere.
He was at like Kansas,
Kansas,
BYU,
Texas Tech, right?
Gonzaga. No, not Texas Tech. I think he was
Maybe
like
that.
committed to UCLA.
Okay.
He's been a lot of places. But he was good last year when he finally got settled in. But yeah, not we'll see. This is just yeah, pretty underwhelming once you look at it from a full perspective.
Yeah. Next up for me, I went back into the ACC. I went with Wake Forest. Um,
Yeah.
lost Hunter Salas, lost Tyler Johnson, Cam Hildreth, and I think the chance for a tournament appearance, the window there for Steve Forbes at Wake Forest has probably passed. I don't see the tournament upside this year unless
Yeah. I
you
mean,
have a
Forbes
big
is
breakout year
like,
from Juke
I
Harris.
mean, Forbes can definitely work some magic. They might end up just short. They'll probably end up like Miles Colvin's going to be like the ACC player of the year, and they're going to be like the first four out because that's seems like a very Wake Forest thing to happen this year.
Yeah, beat Duke with like 2 weeks left in the season and then lose out to drop out of the tournament
Yeah, they'll
picture.
like lose to Boston College at home or something like that. But yeah, I would generally agree with this. I don't hate this roster, but I also don't hate them being called a loser. I think I've feel like I've heard that Nate Kelmies might not be the best locker room guy out there. I do really like Trevon Spillers coming back, but yeah, again, I would consider last year's team, even though Hildreth was pretty bad last year, I would consider. I mean, they had disappointing seasons from a lot of guys. Salas, I mean, he was still very good, but the 3-point shot definitely took a bit of a dip. Yeah, just the talent level probably went down from a team that was kind of struggling relative to expectations last year. So,
Yeah. And then final team for me, I went with Georgia, um, tournament team last year. Obviously, got unlucky with the draw against Gonzaga, but you lose Silas Demery, you lose Asa Newell, and a couple other guys from that team, and now you're probably looking at a bottom three finish in the SEC. There's
yeah.
basically no wings on the roster for this team. Let's count Blue Cane as one,
Can
and
catching is a wing.
yeah, I guess so.
But
But
yeah, like I would agree. I think they're definitely probably closer to the rest of the pack than like the bottom of the SEC, which is probably like just South Carolina. Probably could have thrown them in there to be honest in this
yeah,
list. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. This seems like just like what a normal Georgia team should be, honestly. But I mean, I wouldn't call them a winner. So
I mean, it feels like it could kind of be the Mike White. I guess at
yeah.
Florida, it was his second year. He reaches the Elite Eight and then kind of tailed off after that. And I feel like Georgia might have peaked last season with it all kind of coming together. You had a 5-star top 10 recruit in Noel, and then Silas Demery made a big jump, and now the roster
Mhm.
just doesn't seem like it really has that juice to compete with an SEC that's probably sending 11, 12 teams to the tournament again.
Yes, not a huge fan of the top end of SEC compared to last year, but I think it's pretty good conference overall still. But I mean, I don't have any complaints with this stance on Georgia, and
Yeah, that's all 10 for me. So,
yeah, well, I think that does it for our losers pod. A little bit of a shorter pod. Not much to talk about with some of these teams because they just didn't do anything fun.
yeah. I mean, you don't want to spend too long hating on these teams otherwise.
Yeah,
It'll only
it's
turn out worse
also
for us at the end of the year.
yeah, it's also hard to pick out losers because I feel like kind of want to look at teams from like a positive perspective, like kind of want to see like think to what like their strategy was, like what they were really trying to do, like how could these things pieces fit together, like kind of want to go for the vision the coaching staff was theoretically going for. But yeah, some of these teams just not a big fan. Yeah, and again, it's definitely hard to pick out losers and winners. And I mean, a few of these teams will probably like randomly be really good.
Yeah,
Um,
it's hard to take a swing and look at like which teams we think will disappoint because I think that's more of what it is rather than losing the off season. I think
yeah.
there's a couple teams that you could really say did, but yeah, once you got to the end, it's either A, you don't have money, or B, you just didn't do the right
Hmm.
things with your money. And obviously kind of like the point we made with Rutgers. Like it's a rather underwhelming roster, but Peichel's done well with
Yeah.
that, and
Like
you
like the
you can see
coaches at
teams
the
having good years. Yeah,
like the coaches at the bottom, like Penn State, like Mike Rhodes is I think he's a guy that can probably do a little bit more with less than other coaches. Like I could throw Tad Boyle in that category too. Like even Shaheen has like shown he can do that before, obviously not last year, but yeah. So we'll really see how it all lines up. Maybe the losers are truly the NIL funding people.
yeah. I mean, you can definitely put partial, if not full, blame on about half these
Yeah.
schools for me on the NIL budget. So
Yes. So if you're mad that we're calling your teams a loser, we're really calling you a loser because you're not. You need to step up with NIL for some of these teams. Some the other ones like Kansas, just Alabama, just maybe not a huge fan of the roster construction. Villanova, Michigan State. Yeah, my first five teams, I think Villanova, Michigan State, Kansas, Alabama, and Memphis. Those were teams I would actually consider. I just didn't like what they did, and I think they had enough to do what something that I would have liked. But yeah, the rest are just they don't have money. I
yeah, I'll
seemingly.
go double exclamation point on Kansas, and then Michigan State for me, and Memphis as well. Just those are three, like, I guess Memphis isn't the same level as the other two, but three big brands in the sport, and they
Yeah,
all
I
look
mean
to really
Memphis is a
take a
very
step
big
back.
brand, regardless of the conference. I would think, yeah, not as much as like the Blue Bloods of the world, but yeah, not a big fan of what those teams assembled. But yeah, again, like we'll see. Like some of these teams are probably gonna disappoint us. I remember when Kansas State randomly had a very good season when with Keontae Johnson and Marquise
Marquise Noel.
Noel. So we'll see. Some of these teams could have crazy years. Rutgers with like Tariq Francis. Okay, I'm gonna stop there before I get too carried away.
Dylan
But
Grant.
yeah, appreciate everyone for tuning into the pod. Hopefully you didn't get too offended on if we called your team out, but yeah, hopefully season approaching a little over 2 months away. Hoping to get into some preview content soon. So yeah,
Yeah, and I'd say just drop anything in the comments of content you want to see. Give us some more ideas outside of just preview content, which I think we're open for all 31 again, 31
yes,
conferences.
yes, because Pac-12 starts next year, not this year. So, yep, 31 conferences, I believe it is. Last year of the WAC as we know it too. So that'll be that'll be an interesting one. Not really. It's still gonna be there a little bit, just with the merging with ASUN and all that fun stuff. But we will get into that on no specific podcast. But yeah, like Luke said, drop whatever you want to see in the comments. We're open to suggestions, open to whatever content that the people want to see heading into this college basketball season. So yeah, like I said earlier in the podcast, where we're all settled in, gonna grind out some consistent content now. So yeah, appreciate everyone for following along, and we will see you next time, whether that be with a conference preview, some other fun stuff. But yeah, stay tuned, turn on the post notifications, and yeah, we will see you next time.